triple the amount of last year's total, and we're not even at the end of the year yet.
This summer, Travis County Attorney Delia Garza sent an email to city officials stressing her concern over 100 additional state troopers patrolling Austin streets and contributing to a court backlog. Brianna Hollis joins us now. You've been looking into this backlog, and Garza told you her office is so bogged down with nonviolent misdemeanor arrests, her staff doesn't have much time to focus on more serious cases.
Yeah, that's right. So in all of 2022, the county attorney's office received just over 560 misdemeanor charges from DPS, but in the first 8 months of this year alone, that number has nearly tripled to more than 1,600, a staggering statistic Garza says delays justice. What impact does misdemeanor court backlog have on the general public?
Well, I think, again, it's the same prosecutors working family violence cases and DWI cases and now low-level cases that resulted from these non-really moving violations.
County Attorney Delia Garza says her prosecutors are inundated with misdemeanor charges from state troopers. Records show 647 DPS cases this year pending with her office. Prosecutors spent time reviewing and ultimately declining 308 others. Many charges are for low-level drug possession, 300 alone for possessing fewer than 2 ounces of marijuana.
What was the PC for the stop, you know?
Expired registration.
Expired registration.
Many stemmed from traffic stops involving non-moving traffic violations.
It was stops for expired registrations, not wearing a seatbelt, those kinds of things. I just don't understand the need to bring additional law enforcement to our community to be stopping people for non-violent, non-moving traffic violations.
Susana Almanza, one of the biggest advocates for Austin's Hispanic community, also has concerns. Even more after she says DPS pulled her over.
And the fear that people have felt, all of those kind of feelings came to the forefront.
While her traffic stop didn't result in an arrest, she worries about her neighbors.
This is a low-income poverty community, and anytime you have to pay a tremendous fine, it really impacts the whole entire family.
So every one of my cases.
Austin defense attorney Ben Gergen says the spike in DPS arrests has kept his office busier than ever.
A lot of times someone gets a charge, that stress, it can send them in the right direction. It can motivate them to make positive changes in their life. But for a lot of people, again, they don't have the money to hire an attorney.
He says he's defending people for misdemeanor charges local law enforcement wouldn't usually issue, like low-level drug possession.
Extra cases filed that have not been filed in the last 3 years.
If the objective is to address any type of violent crime, I'm not sure how the practices that we're seeing right now are meeting that objective.
The county attorney says one solution to the backlog could be adding an additional JP court docket. This would take more staffing and resources, but there isn't money in the current budget for that. So she'd have to make a special request to county commissioners. Now, you'll recall the increased DPS presence started as a way to keep up with crime in the city as the Austin Police Department faces a critical staffing shortage. The governor currently dictates where troopers deploy, and at this point, there's no indication of how long they'll stay.
Well, what does DPS have to say about its efforts here?
So it emailed a statement pointing to the amount of fentanyl and firearms seized as a result of DPS arrests, also saying its operations are, quote, reducing violent crime as well as decreasing traffic fatalities and improving the public safety across the city of Austin. And the agency pointed to an August briefing where APD talked about the drop in 911 calls when DPS was here and how those numbers went back up when troopers took a brief hiatus from May to July to help with the border.
All right, Brianna, thank you very much. DPS began its Austin operation on March 30th as a partnership, but the city ended that agreement on July 12th after a traffic stop that concerned the mayor's office. Later that night, Governor Greg Abbott ordered troopers to stay in Austin and doubled down, adding an additional 30 to patrol the streets. It's not the first time a Texas city has had help from DPS in recent years. In 2019, troopers assisted Dallas law enforcement in response to a violent crime increase. The initiative ended later that year. See how the crime numbers have changed since the agency's presence in Austin. Explore our Data Interactive online now. We have a link in this week's State of Texas story in the Texas Politics section of our website.
The lead importer of migrants to New York is not Texas,
is Joe Biden.
Governor Abbott heads to New York City to send a message on border policy, how he's trying to put pressure on the feds to take new steps to stop migrants from crossing the border.